Hey everyone, IPG here.
I went into the Marvel Rivals Discord for 2 weeks and collected data on what characters everybody wanted in the game before the beta came out and after the alpha.
You heard me say right there that I made this recording between the beta and the alpha. Well, it's season 1 and the game is already out. So there's going to be some things that I might say that might be a little incorrect, and future me will try to correct them. If not, they're not going to be that harmful to anything. There might be leaks confirming some characters here or there, but they might not actually be in the game. Besides that, we're going to go through a list. The first part, you're going to see a whole bunch of characters with no images. Then you'll start to see some images because they got more votes, and so on. I'll talk more and more about the characters if they got more votes. This was made ages ago for fun little thing when I was in the Marvel Rivals Discord before the game came out. So yeah, sit back, have some fun, watch me talk about all whole sorts of characters and list off a bunch of names that you'll have no clue who they are, nor do I, and it's a bunch of fun.
And then I've been basically placing all of those votes on a Google Sheet, and it's organized in colors, and that's how we're going to go through it. Confirmed and leaked characters, then to yellow, which is just 1 vote, then orange, which is 2 to 9 votes, blue, which is 10 plus votes, which is basically the top 11. And then when I talk about the top 10, I'll actually try to talk about abilities, maybe their roles. And then finally the white, which is 0 votes, which I wrote out, and then nobody ever mentioned these characters. So this is like a 250 plus character listing. And the 2 rules are, I can't vote in this because I want every character to be added in the game, because I like all the Marvel characters. Maybe some of the exceptions, such as the Eternals, which is the second rule. No Eternals on the list. The Eternals sucks. No Eternals allowed on this list. No! 2 people voted for Eternals, and I wrote it down, even though I wrote a no next to it.
Talking about all the confirmed characters in the game, we have Adam Warlock, Black Panther, Black Widow, Captain America, Cloak and Dagger, Doctor Strange, Groot, Hawkeye, Hela, Hulk, Invisible Woman, Iron Fist, Iron Man, Jeff the Land Shark, Loki, Luna Snow, Magic, Magneto, Mantis, Mr. Fantastic, Moon Knight, Namor, Penny Parker, Psylocke, Rocket Raccoon, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Man, Squirrel Girl, Star-Lord, Storm, The Punisher, Thor, Venom, Winter Soldier, Wolverine. And for leaked characters, we have Blade and Ultron, which rumor was Ultron was going to be added at the base game, but was replaced with 3 other characters. One of them was Iron Fist. So if you like Iron Fist, he got added over Ultron. And I think Blade's gonna be added sometime soon because he's mentioned in the story.
Onto the yellow, which is about
20, 40, 60, 80.
Ooh, 98 characters on this list. Only got 1 vote. Basically meaning that 1 person would mention this character and they are a fan of that. So this is just rare characters that people were like, oh, I like this guy. And then I was like, okay, I'll write it down. So we have Wolfsbane, Kenneth Hale, Songbird, Jocasta, Spiral, Sean Madigan, Sheki, Silk, Arno Stark, Gwen Stacy, White Tiger, Codex, Kid Kaiju, Blackheart, Speedball, Moonstone, Agent Coulson, Darkhawk, Vox, Okoye, Codec, Nighthawk, Frog, Frogman, Quake, Yo-Yo, Doorman, Dupe, Honey Badger / Scout, Hexus, Justice, Wong, Thatcher, Ironheart, Hercules, Hope Summers, Richter, Shatterstar, Pyro, Bishop, Bastion, Forge, Wendigo, Lady Deathstrike, Blob, Darwin, Banshee, X-23, Elixir, Legion, Leech, Herbie, Franklin Richards, Maximus, Karnak, Cosmo the dog, Jessica Jones, Rhino, Hydro-Man, Shocker, Craven, Agent Venom, Spot, Rafe, Bullseye, Black Tom Cassidy, Red Skull, which, no, he should not be a playable character in the game, Titanium, Crimson Dynamo, Sentinel, so the things that attack the X-Men, which would be kind of cool, Twister, Hurricane, Charade, Elektra, Sleeper, Mangog, Gravitron, Avalanche, Claw, Mephisto, a demon, seriously, Jack-o'-lantern, Ronan the Accuser, the Destroyer, Enchantress, Which, actually, back up for a minute. The Destroyer is actually in the game already. It's like a giant statue in one of the spawns. Executioner, Silver Samurai, the Reaper, Baron Mordo, Death Dealer, High Evolutionary, Batroc the Leaper, Thane, Wrecking Crew, Absorbing Man, Alex Wilder, Old Lace, Molly Hayes, and the Acolytes. So that's all that got 1 vote. And that's 98 of them. Boom! The not so popular characters out of the way. Boom! Some of them are popular, but if you're this guy that voted for Red Skull, get out of here. I don't want to see ya ever again. That should not be on the list. No. This man's terrible. Okay, moving on to Orange, which we're just going to talk about in order of votes. So like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then Blue is 10 plus. So we'll get there. Okay, the Orange section has 106 characters. It's more than Yellow. It's the most, actually, in the entire Google Sheet. And this consists of a ton of popular characters that a lot of people like that just were almost there at being top 10. And then it also consists of characters that 2 votes, 3 votes for them. So they're not as popular. But maybe with the right traction, those characters could actually be a lot more popular. And we'll get to them. Starting with the Orange section, we have Viv Vision, Mojo, Mary Jane, which, seriously, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which would be dope, Morbius, so it's Morbin time, American Chavez, Black Knight, Heimdall, Clea, Hulkling, Miguel O'Hara, Odin, which, why, Beta Ray Bill, Brother Voodoo, Shuma Gorath, Falcon, Shang-Chi, Spider-Woman, Kate Bishop, Blue Marvel, Beast, Onslaught, Emma Frost, Domino, Omega Red, Sabretooth, Hyperion, Havoc, Armor, Crystal, Gladiator, Mysterio, Vulture, Scream, Riot, Fin Fang Foom, which is the big dragon, Whiplash, Kingpin, Ego the Planet, Gore, Red Hulk, which, guy, Bina, who's an Eternal, so no, all got 2 votes. Moving on to all the characters that got 3 votes, we have Man-Thing, Spider-Ham, Shroud, Wiccan, Howard the Duck, Death's Head, Vision, Juggernaut, Mystique, Apocalypse, Polaris, Kitty Pryde, Medusa, Drax, which would be dope, Yondu, the Lizard, Scorpion, Anti-Venom, Agatha, Baron Zemo, Super Skrull, the Abomination, the Leader, Null, Nico Minori, Carolina Dean. All got 3 votes. Moving on to all the characters that got 4 votes. We have Gwenpool, Ghost Spider, The Brood, Wasp, Mr. Sinister, Morph, Annihilus, Nova, Sandman, Mr. Negative, Kane, Dormammu, and Taskmaster. Now, onto all the characters that got 5! The list is shrinking! We have She-Hulk, Iceman, Angel, Mole Man, Black Bolt, Lockjaw, Gamora, Electro, and Mandarin. Onto all the characters that have 6 votes. Captain Marvel, Sentry, Cyclops, Rogue, Charles Xavier, Cable, and Nebula. Now, onto all the characters that got 7! We're almost into the 10s! Yeah! Woo! We have War Machine, which I might make a video of like a concept on War Machine. I think he could work really well as a Vanguard. Then we have Jean Grey, Colossus, Silver Surfer, and Thanos. One of the characters that got 8 votes, which is only 2. Doc Ock and Carnage, both Spider-Man villains. And then onto the characters that got 9 votes, which is... oh, they almost hit the top 10. It's Jubilee and Daredevil, which both would be cool in the game. Moving on to all the characters that got 10 votes and or more. And so it's only 11 characters. And then I'm going to talk about 1 outside the top 10, and then we'll do the 10 all the way to 1. So starting with number 11, it was Miles Morales, Spider-Man. So he could work in the game. He could play differently than Spider-Man. He would play slightly off. He'd be invisible. He has electric powers too, so. Even in the comics, I'm pretty sure they gave him a fire sword. And he got bit by a vampire. So he's like a vampire right now. They've just done so much with his character. He has so many powers they can just pull from. He would just be another damage, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a spider character that's a strategist, though. I don't know who it would be, and I would be surprised if it's Miles. I know so many people want Miles in the game, and I know that the devs, specifically on a live stream, have mentioned how there's not going to make characters skins. So, like, Miles won't be a skin for Spider-Man, Peter Parker, because they're two separate characters entirely. So, and that might be the same case with Miguel O'Hara. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but I feel like there's such a big popularity for Miles. So I feel like he'll be added at some point in the game. It just might be like a couple years later. On to the top 10 most voted characters. We have at number 10, Quicksilver, which would be really dope. And I've had comments talk about how he would work, like how his running abilities would work, if it could be a trace or dash, if it could be on a meter, and there were so many other options that I can't even think of at the moment, but they were all really good ideas. And so I feel like Quicksilver actually can work in the game. And on top of that, he could actually work as a damage or a strategist, but I actually just see him just being a damage. And then on to number 9, we have Ghost Rider, which makes sense. So many people want that character in the game. I could see him being a Vanguard, and they beef him up the same way they did with Doctor Strange, and he drives around a motorcycle just like how Wario does in Super Smash Bros. And then he has a hook just like Roadhog to pull people in. On top of that, I had another idea with Ghost Rider, that his ult would just be he just pennant stares everybody, and they're all just stunned still right in front of him. It's like a breach stun from Valorant. Instead of just a launching, you're just stuck, and then he beats you up. It's just a Doctor Strange ult. It's super simple. He just drives around on a motorcycle, pulls you in, and then starts beating you up. Or maybe his main weapon is like a chain hook or a chain weapon. Would be really cool to see in the game. I could see him as Vanguard. I could see him as damage. Number 8 is Green Goblin, which the glider, throwing pumpkin bombs. He'd be really cool. He'd be really unique to see in the game. It would also be interesting if he can just be on and off the glider, so people can like knock him off. I also just see him being a damage character, Green Goblin. I don't know how he would be a strategist unless he gave you like the Goblin serum and he was able to heal people with pumpkin bombs. Which if they did that, it would be a cool concept. But I'd be like, okay, Green Goblin has never done that ever. I could just see him being a hardcore damage that's just like a tank buster. And he'd just be super annoying too on that glider. Onto the number 7 character, Deadpool! Which also so many people want him because Deadpool and Wolverine movie came out and everyone saw Deadpool again and was like, Deadpool, Deadpool! And also Deadpool's just always been popular in the Marvel universe and just like Marvel fan base alone. He would work really well in this game. I could also see him being an announcer pack in this game as well. Talking about monetization. If you want to make some money, there you go. You can have Deadpool talking to the player. And there's so many skin ideas you can do with Deadpool. He'd probably be a damage, which so many characters are going to end up being damage. So we'll have to see how that plays out. As long as they're all unique in their playstyles, I'm all go for it. I hope Deadpool gets added. His voice lines would be hilarious. Everything about him would be funny. Onto the number 6 spot is Antman, which is at like 15 votes. And I've heard so many comments, and this is something I really want to talk about. Ant-Man can be any role in this game. He can be a Vanguard, Giant Man, Yellow Jacket. He's been so many people in the comics. He can be a damage and just shrink down and grow and just do a bunch of stuff for himself. He can even be a strategist and use Pym particles to heal people and maybe even shrink his own teammates and enemies and even grow, like change the size of his teammates and enemies. Be big or small, and they can have like consequences on both sides, so you can balance it out. I think being a strategist would be really cool, because then you actually have a really popular character as a strategist, because the strategists are lacking. I think Ant-Man is going to end up not as damage, and as something as like a Vanguard or a strategist, I hope. And he's been mentioned in the lore. Please be added. At the number 5 spot, which this makes sense, and I also want in the game the most, is Doctor Doom, which also got 15 votes. I want Doctor Doom to be a Vanguard. There's been images shown at San Diego Comic-Con to show his actual title card itself, what Doctor Doom looks like in game. And he has giant arms. He looks like a big body Ramatra, like big form Ramatra. And I could see him being a Vanguard. He could even end up just being a massive strategist, which would be weird. but I see him being a Vanguard and using magic and technology to attack people. And they can easily add him to the game if there's any lore reason. You can just add it for Doctor Doom. He's also trying to seize power, and he's just not mentioning it to anybody. He's trying to act good. Or you can just, the lore later on, just add him whenever you want. Super simple. It's gonna be a Vanguard, that's what I think. Moving on to the number 4. It's M.O.D.O.K, the big head guy. So many people wanted him in the Marvel Rivals Discord. I don't know why. They were actually insane about it. And I actually could see him working really well in this game. I could see him as a strategist. It'd be really funny to have in the game. You already have Jeff the Landshark and Groot. We're just different entirely. And there's other characters. But having M.O.D.O.K, he'd be actually really fun. I could see as a strategist and uses aim technology to actually like heal people. I could see him as a Vanguard too. I could see him as any of the roles. Moving on to the number 3, it's Miss Marvel, which so many people in that Marvel Rivals Discord want this character. It actually was tied with the number 2 spot, and Miss Marvel was so dedicated. I actually got a message. Someone sent me an entire kit idea about Miss Marvel, about how they wanted this character to play as a damage, and I was excited, and it would be really cool. And from the leaks, Mr. Fantastic might be a Vanguard, so having somebody that might play similar to Mr. Fantastic as a stretchy character that punches people as damage would be really cool. And Miss Marvel's really popular in like actual like Marvel fan base. He's always been popular in the comics. And they can also do so many skins. She was in the Marvel Avengers game. Add Miss Marvel. I'm actually surprised that they don't have Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel, like at all in leaks or anything. It's kind of stunning. Moving on to the number 2 spot, we have Gambit, which everyone saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and Gambit has just blown out of proportions. X-Men 97 did the same thing. People love Gambit, and Gambit also should be added. They can do so much stuff, and also Gambit, let alone, his powers are unique from any other Marvel character. Yeah, there's probably some other characters that are similar that are like D-list or even like less known than him, but Gambit's really cool. You can actually have a staff, you can have the cards, you can actually like charge up like a wall maybe and blow it up. That was something I was talking with someone in Discord about, which would be really cool. And Gambit could also like team up with the other X-Men and characters. People would love to hear like, just his voice lines and meme it up. It'd be hilarious. And he just has so much popularity right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets added to the game. And at our number 1 spot, which this kind of surprised me, but not really, is Nightcrawler. Is the most voted character at 19 votes. Which, that doesn't surprise me. I want to first say that I actually heard a bunch of people argue about how Magic's already in the game, and how Nightcrawler and Magic would play similar. Probably. They both have swords and teleport. Maybe Nightcrawler can like teleport further. Even though Magic has a far range teleport ability, it only happens when she teams up with Black Panther or other characters that have that team up. So, if they add Nightcrawler, he might play similar, but you could make a case that he could play very differently, and I could even see it too. And he would also probably end up as a damage character. Unless they make him a strategist and he can somehow heal you while he bamfs you, which would be odd. So I just see him ending up being a damage. He might get added a little bit later on. So like popular characters like Cyclops, Gambit, all the other characters that really weren't mentioned or are very unique like Quicksilver. You have Magneto and Scarlet Witch, but I digress. Moving on to the section where nobody talked about these characters and I wrote them down on this list. Literally, I wrote down Nick Fury, Madam Web, which I'm so happy nobody mentioned to me. Hitmonkey, which has a TV show. I think it's on Hulu. Uatu the Watcher, which makes sense. Wonder Man, he's also getting a TV show. Captain Britain, Toad, Sunspot, Dazzler, Luke Cage, Chameleon, Black Cat, Hobgoblin, Jackal, Morlun, Molten Man, Tombstone, Alistair Smythe, Doppelganger, Tinkerer, Ironmonger, which I think would be cool. An Iron Man Vanguard variant would be cool. That's why I chose Ironmonger, Detroit Steel, Crossbones, Ghost, Yellow Jacket. None of these characters were ever mentioned to me to be voted. So I wrote them down, and nobody has ever mentioned these characters. So maybe some of them would work in the game. Others would definitely not work. So, yeah. That's all 250 characters that were voted, or 250 plus characters voted by the Marvel Rivals Discord. Let me know what else characters you want in the game, and explain why, and what role. What role should Antman be? A vanguard, damage, or strategist? Let me know, because that's actually an interesting topic to talk about. But yeah, that's it.